Today's Penina's Perspective is about the 5 most important legal tips to protect your business. If you think of 5 legal circles of every business, and it doesn't matter if you operate on your own or you employ 1,000 people, the same 5 legal circles apply to all businesses. Starting with the top, it's your business corporate structure. Now, if you are partners and if you don't have a written partnership agreement, then you're subject to the Partnership Act 1890, which, trust me, you don't want to. So it's really important you sit together and draft a partnership agreement as to how you want your partnership to run. If you run a limited company, then you're both co-shareholders in the business. But it's also very important that you have a shareholders agreement, which is basically a business prenup. The next legal circle for you to think about is your people in your business. If you employ people, it's absolutely important that you have an employment contract in place with all of them. It is also very important that you have a staff handbook in place. A staff handbook is basically a collection of policies. It deals with things like redundancies, disciplinary procedures, maternity leave, paternity leave, use of the internet, adverse weather conditions. So, for example, it's snowing, do employees need to come to work? Do they get paid? The other group of people are freelancers. Now, there are 2 important things you need to know in relation to freelancers. Starting with intellectual property, when a freelancer does any design for you, write content, code software, whatever it is, they own the intellectual property rights in what they've done for you, not you. And it doesn't matter if you paid them or commissioned them, they are the owners of the intellectual property in that work. And the only way you can own that intellectual property is if they assign it to you in writing. It is therefore very important that with your freelancers that you work with regularly, you have a freelancer agreement in place. But if you don't work with them regularly, you can just have an assignment agreement that they sign up to, saying that they assign all the intellectual property rights to you. The second thing about freelancers is their legal status. A crucial point to understand about the legal status of freelancers. The fact that you decided that someone is your freelancer doesn't make them in law your freelancer. What the courts will do, they will look at the practical relationship between you to determine whether that is a relationship of a true service provider, the freelancer, and a client, that is you, or that of an employer and an employee. And the court will carry out a number of tests to determine that. But if they are held to be an employee, then they will be entitled to all the benefits that the employment laws give employees. So it's very, very important to have a good freelancer agreement that stipulate that that person is a freelancer, but also to operate in practice as a service provider and a client to make sure you satisfy the tests that the court will carry out. The third legal circle is your relationship with third parties. And the most important third party to your business is actually your client. Now, every interaction with your client is a contract. So, for example, if I say to you, would you like to buy this Zebra cup for £5? And you say yes, we have a contract between us. It is a verbal agreement, but in law, it is an agreement like any other agreement. And then it is my word against yours as to what we've agreed about the sale of that cup. A proper business that operates professionally, it's part of your package to have written terms and conditions in place. The next circle to think about is your property. And when I say your property, I mean physical property as well as intellectual property. So as far as physical property is concerned, if you work from commercial premises at the moment, there's no such thing as a standard lease. Every lease can be negotiated, rent, break clauses, dilapidation orders. When it comes to intellectual property, there are a number of ways to protect your intellectual property. Firstly, trademark. Your brand is almost certainly the most important asset in your business. Make sure you own your name, your logo, your slogan, all these things you can trademark, and then you will own the legal rights over your name. Other ways to protect your intellectual property is through contracts. All the contracts that I've mentioned so far will have an intellectual property chapter in there. So contracts are a really good way to protect your IP. The final legal circle to protect your business that you need to think about is contentious matters. And it is likely to take shape in one of two forms, either debt recovery or litigation. Having well-drafted contracts that protect your business and good internal debt recovery procedures can substantially minimize your exposure to contentious matters. If you follow the steps, the tips that were given in this video. That was Penina's perspective on the top 5 legal tips to protect your business.